Software is the world's most lucrative industry. A handful of software companies are today the richest, most powerful companies on Earth. We call them Big Tech. But what happens to Big Tech now the software they created can write software to compete with them? Are they worried? No way. They understand creating software is one thing. Creating a successful software business is another. That's why I'm here. The best way to tackle Big Tech is not to tear down Microsoft, crush Google, or demolish Meta, but to build 1 million more like them, empower the younger, better, faster, and smarter. Welcome to the Wizard of Software. Our goal is to train the first 1,000 AI-enhanced software developers to become 1,000 successful software businesses. But what is the business of software?
Business schools teach the product life cycle as if it were a universal law of markets. A product is born, it grows, it matures, and eventually it dies. In the classroom, the model is presented as a smooth, predictable arc that every product inevitably follows. It's tidy, it's intuitive, and it fits beautifully on a whiteboard. The model's appeal lies in its simplicity. It gives managers a sense of order in what can otherwise feel like a chaotic marketplace. But the simplicity that makes a product lifecycle so teachable is the same simplicity that makes it increasingly out of date, especially when applied to software. The model was created in an era of physical goods, when products were manufactured, shipped, consumed, and eventually replaced. A shampoo bottle or a car model genuinely does move through a linear sequence of introduction, growth, maturity, and decline. Once it reaches the end of its life, it disappears from the shelves and is replaced by something new. This life cycle is a one-way journey. Software doesn't behave this way. A software product is not a static object that enters the world fully formed. It is a living system that evolves continuously. The moment it's released, it begins a cycle of updates, refinements, redesigns, and expansions. New features can reignite growth long after the product is supposedly mature. A shift in customer behavior or a new integration can reposition the product entirely. Even a complete redesign can occur without ever withdrawing the product from the market. In other words, software does not move along a line. It loops. This looping behavior breaks the logic of the traditional life cycle. In software, decline is not a terminal stage, but a signal that the product needs to be re-examined, or reimagined, or simply re-engineered. A product that appears to be fading can be revived with a new interface, a new business model, a new set of features and capabilities. The idea that a software product must inevitably die is simply not true. Many of my Most successful digital products have reinvented themselves multiple times, each reinvention creating a fresh cycle of growth. The traditional product life cycle assumes that value is created at the moment of purchase. That assumption makes sense for physical goods, but software creates value through ongoing engagement. A product that is used daily, updated weekly, and improved monthly does not fit into a model designed for products that remain unchanged from the moment they leave the factory. The life cycle of software is driven by feedback loops, not by the slow drift of consumer markets. It's shaped by user behavior, data, and rapid iteration, forces that the traditional model simply cannot capture. This is why modern software teams operate in cycles rather than stages. They move from research to definition, from construction to communication, from engagement back to research again. Each loop generates new insight, and each insight becomes the seed of the next iteration. The product is not marching towards decline. It is circling through discovery and renewal. The life cycle is not a curve, but a rhythm. So while the product life cycle remains a useful teaching tool for understanding the behavior of traditional goods, it no longer describes the reality of software. The linear model belongs to an era earlier. The cyclic model reflects the world we actually live in. A world where products evolve continuously, markets shift rapidly, and the most successful software is the software that never stops changing. In any software company, the work tends to fall naturally into 5 distinct silos: research, development, marketing communication, sales, and customer support. Each of these groups sees the product from a different angle, and each contributes something essential to its success. Research is where ideas begin. It's the part of the organization that tries to understand what customers need, what problems are worth solving, what opportunities are emerging in the market, and what tools they have or will need to address them. Development takes those insights and turns them into working software, translating possibilities into features, interfaces, and systems that people can actually use. Once the product exists, marketing communication steps in to explain it to the world, shaping the narrative, the story, the positioning, and the language that helps customers understand why the product matters to them. Sales then takes that story and turns it into revenues, working directly with customers to match the product to their needs and to close deals. Finally, customer support lives with the product after it has been sold, helping users succeed, resolving issues, and seeing firsthand where the product delights and where it falls short. Although these 5 silos often operate as if they are separate, the reality is they form a continuous loop. The most important connection in that loop is the one that runs from customer support back to research. Support teams hear the truth unfiltered. They hear what customers struggle with, what they wish the product could do, what confuses them, and what they love. Software development is inherently cyclic. The product is never finished because the learning never stops. Each loop through these 5 silos creates a better, clearer, more valuable version of the product. The life cycle is not a straight line from launch to decline. It's a continuous rhythm of discovery, creation, communication, delivery, and learning. But here's the issue nobody seems to want to deal with. It's the issue I faced at Microsoft in its formative years. In which of these silos should price be decided? To see how we solve that issue, you'll need to take my MasterClass on how to turn a software developer into a software business. The other issue that needs to be addressed is what happens to the product lifecycle now that AI can write the code. The answer is nothing. The frequency of the life cycle can be radically increased, but there's a big difference between writing software and building a revenue-generating software business. Still the most lucrative industry in the world. This is what my MasterClass is designed to address. Right now, I'm organizing my MasterClass schedule. If this is something you might be interested in attending, head over to the Wizard of Software website and please register your interest.